Hello everyone. In this short video I will go through the practice exercise for Microsoft Excel. We have the skeleton which is open here. We also have the instructions file which you can see here, and we have the two output file. This is for sheet 1, this one is for sheet number 2. So let us begin with the instructions. We have to merge and center the cells from A1 to D1. So I will go to the skeleton file. I can select and use the merge and center button here. Similarly, we have to color, add borders and adjust the width of the cells according to the output. To do that, you can see here in the output sheet 1, the background is orange for the transients heading and CRVB value, and yellow for the other ones. So I can click on the cell and apply using the bucket symbol, the orange background color here. Similarly, for CRB values I can apply this, and then for the time labels here I can apply yellow background. Now you can see the text here is not completely visible. To automatically adjust the width, you can use this format button here and use auto column width, so that can fix the issue as well. Now we have to apply the borders also. If you notice here, I have to apply the borders as well. So if you notice the output, this one contains simple black borders. So this one is very simple. I can select the cells from A1 to D23, then F1 to G3, and from the borders button here I can apply all borders. But you can also change the line color from this option here. You can change the style to different type. I can ask any one of them. So right now I will just apply all borders so it looks something like that. Then we have to format the cells B3 to D23 that should have number format with 5 decimal places. So I can select from B3 to D23 and go to the number advanced settings group here, and I can select number with 5 decimal places. You can press OK. That will apply the setting in the cells. Then make the cells in the range A3 to D23. They should have center and middle alignment. So once I select from A3 to D23, A3 here to D23, you can already see it's using the center and middle alignment, so no need to change. Now we can move on to the calculation. So first we will calculate the time constant value. It is also called tau, so which is time multiplied by R into C. So if we notice in the skeleton, you will see the time value is changing. So I will simply use A3. R and C values are both constants. For them we will use the dollar signs. So how we can write this? I can click on the cell B3. I will start with the equal sign, and then I will write equals time, which is in the cell A3, multiplied by R, which is in the cell G2. I will make it constant by pressing F4 button on the keyboard. So it will automatically apply the dollar signs, multiplied by C, which is in G1, and again I will press F4 to make it constant. That should give me the value of the time constant here after I press the enter key. And similarly you can fill the formula downward for all the remaining cells. Next we have to calculate the value of current, but before we do that, let us compare the values. You see here 8, 16, 24, which is similar to the output, the results which we have calculated. Now if we talk about the current, we need to check how many inputs we have here. So we have the exponential function here also. We have the tau, which is the time constant which we calculated in the previous step. So let me write it down here, how many inputs we have and which of these are constants, which of them are variables. So I will write them down. So here we have an input. So here you can see we have an input named VB, or the voltage, and we have an input named R, which is the resistance. We have input tau, which is the time constant that we calculated in the previous step, and we have the C, which is the capacitance. Now notice we have 4 inputs. From these 4 inputs we need to identify which of these are constant and which of these are variables. So you can see here the time constant input, it is changing. The R, C and VB inputs, they are all constant. So for constants we use dollar signs. Only the time constant here we will use the normal cell name, but for voltage we will replace G3 with $G$3, with the R will be replaced with $G$2, but the time constant B3 will be used with relative reference with the simple cell name, and the capacitance will be G1. Now using these cell names I should be able to write the formula which is given here in the instruction. So you can see here I will write the formula with equal sign. The first we have input is the VB over R. So I will use brackets to write the voltage, which is G3, but it is constant, so I can use $G$3 divided by R, which is in cell G2. So close the bracket. This will give me the first part on the left of this equation. Then we need to multiply. I will close the bracket, and now we need to multiply it with the exponential. So I will use the function for exponential exp. Bracket open. Inside we have the power, which is negative tau, negative time constant over RC. So negative time constant value is in the cell B3 here. So negative B3 divided by the denominator should be grouped together, R multiplied by C. So R value is in G2, but it is constant, so I will say $G$2 multiplied by C, the capacitance, which is G1, but it is constant again, so I will say $G$1. So I will close this here. This is the denominator of the exponential. But now I need another closing bracket in the end. This one is for the exponential function. So this whole equation will be for the current calculation that I can put here in the skeleton in the cell C3. After that I can fill the formula downward, and then I can also compare these numbers here with the output of sheet 1. You can see here 45985, 16917, and we are getting the same numbers as the output. Now we have to calculate the value of charge. The charge value is given by the equation C times the voltage multiplied by bracket open 1 minus exponential of negative tau over RC. So instead of writing this in notepad, let me write it directly in the skeleton to show you how you can save time by quickly writing this equation directly in the Excel worksheet. So here let me reduce the size of this window. So let me zoom in. So here let's see. So we have the equation starting with the equal sign, and we have C, the capacitance value, which is given in the cell G1. I will select G1 and make it constant because it's a single input using F4 key, multiplied by V, which is G3. I will also make it constant using the F4 key, multiplied by bracket open 1 negative. So 1 negative, we have E, which is the exponential function, exp, bracket open, the power is negative tau, negative time constant, which is in B3. So negative B3 divided by, the denominator is, once again I need to group it together, R times C. So I will say divide by and put it in brackets. So bracket open R, which is in G2, but it should be constant, so I will press F4, multiplied by capacitance, which is in G1, and I will also make it constant using the F4 key. I will use a closing bracket for the denominator, another closing bracket for the exponential, and another one for one negative expression, so 1 minus exponential. So this part here, this is for the denominator, then this second bracket is for closing the exponential, and then the third bracket here is to close the 1 minus exponential expression. So using that I can press enter, and this will give me the result 6.32121, which is similar to the output. So if you compare it, you will get the same numbers as the output. Now, the next thing we have to do is to apply the conditional formatting. So the conditional formatting is from C3 to D23. So I can select the cells from C3 up to D23 and I will go to the conditional formatting. I need to apply red, yellow, green color scale. So in the conditional formatting button, I will go to color scales option. Let me check which one again. It is red, yellow, green color scale. So here in the color scale, the first one is, no, not this one. So the second one, red, yellow, green. Yes, I will apply this one as the conditional formatting option. I can ask any one of these. I can also ask you to create your own rule. So you can use new rule option. You can use two color scales. You can provide there, instead of lowest, I can set up exact numbers here. I can set up the color options here also. I can also use icon sets. I can identify, I can set their values based on number instead of percentage format. So this is a very useful tool to apply conditional formatting on the cells of a worksheet. So anyways, we don't need it right now. This is just for information. After this, I will insert a chart now. So for the data A3 to C23, then sorry, A3 to A23, then C3 to C23. So if I select this data here, I can go to the insert tab and I need to insert scatter plot with smooth line and markers. So I will go to insert and I will choose the scatter plot option and choose the second one, scatter with smooth line and markers. And now we need to apply the chart style 6 and then we will format it similar to the output. So here let's look at the output first and look at the x-axis values, the y-axis values, what is the minimum, what is the maximum. So let's see here. The x-axis, the minimum is from 0 to 6 with a step size of 1. The y-axis, it has a minimum of 0.0 up to 0.5 with numbers having 1 decimal place and the difference is 0.1. So there are two ways to edit the x-axis. You can double click on any data point value on the x-axis. That will open the formatting of the x-axis for minimum and maximum. But the proper method, you can go to the ribbon. If you go to the ribbon in the tabs, you find the format tab, and here on the left side you can choose the horizontal axis from the top left and click on format selection. When I do that, it will open this menu here. So minimum for x-axis should be 0, maximum should be 6, the step size should be 1, which is fine. Then I will change the selection in the formatting from horizontal to vertical axis now. So here the minimum should be 0 and the maximum should be 0.5 with a step size, the major unit of 0.1. So if I put the number here 0.1, you will notice we still have 5 decimal places, but in the output we only need 1 decimal place. So to change that, I can expand this number option here and choose 1 decimal place. So this is our x and y axes which are formatted now. After that, what we will do is, before we can edit the line and the markers, first what I will do is I'm going to change the legend entries. I will change the axis titles before we can apply the markers with size 10 or line color red and so on. So before we do that, I need to enable this legend entry here, current. I need to enable the x-axis title. I need to enable the y-axis title, which is here in our chart. So if anything is missing in the chart, in fact not from select data, so if you click on the chart and here once again, if I want to enable the chart title, the x-axis title, y-axis title or the legend entry, I can click on this plus symbol here on the right corner and enable axis title. I can enable the legend, you can see here, And when you enable, you will notice the y-axis values, they are simply labeled series 1, the data points. You can edit it using the select data option. Right click the chart, select data, and then in the y-axis, instead of series 1, you can click edit and type the name here. In this case, it is current values. I will just type, press OK and press OK again. So notice it will change the legend entry. You can change similarly the x-axis title, which is time, the y-axis title, which is current, and the chart title. So x-axis title, it will be time, the y-axis, it will be current, and the chart title should be transients in RC circuits. Now we can edit the markers and the line colors. So to do that, I need to select these data points correctly. So one way, again, you can go to format, and this time instead of access, I can select the series values. The series values of current, it will select these data points. Then I can click on format selection, it will open this window, and from the bucket option, I can control the line and the marker. The line color should be red, so I will change the color here. And if I go to the marker, I can change the marker option. The type of the marker should be the triangle shape, size 10. And the background color I can change using the fill button here, and then I can change it to green. Any shade of green is fine, even in the exam, light green, dark green, that's okay. Now this is our chart. We have calculated the equations, but besides, some time I can also give you, let me select a small amount from, let's say, B3 to D12. So if I have a small group of data and if I insert a column chart, so if I go to insert charts and if I insert 3D clustered column chart here, notice both the values will be plotted on the y-axis, and the x-axis numbers, they are populated automatically with just values 1, 2, 3 and so on. To change that, to change the axis labels in this way, you cannot do it directly using the format tab. You have to right click and select data, and from here in the horizontal axis you can edit and now select the input values directly. If I select, for example, B3 to B12, so now notice the x-axis in the chart will be populated with these numbers. So that's another thing you can do with the charts. For the bar chart or column chart, the x-axis values, you cannot just set minimum, maximum. It will not work like that. So for now, let's go to sheet number 2 to apply these different functions that we have. So first, we have the data here, the customer ID, product ID in column A, and then the customer names. The actual data is starting from column B, their customer ID, product ID, I need to calculate from the first column. To do that, I am going to use the find, the left and the right function. So here customer ID is on the left side of the cell here, and the ID and the product IDs, they are separated by a dash or the negative symbol. If you can see here, A2. So what I will do is I'm going to use the left function. So I will type in the cell C2 equal left. The first input is the cell name from where you want to extract, which is A2, comma the number of characters. So the number of characters, we want it to be dynamic according to the location of the dash. So I will use the find function. I will find in double quotation, I will put this dash, comma in which cell I need to find it. So that will be comma in the cell A2. So this find function will give me the location of this dash symbol. But I don't want the location, based on the location, I don't want that many characters. The customer ID is one less than the location of this negative symbol. So I will subtract -1 from that location. That should give me the customer ID extraction from the column A. And now I can fill the formula downward for all the remaining cells. Similarly, for the product ID, I will go to the right side. I will extract characters from the right side of cell A2. Now the number of characters will be how many? That is the total number of characters minus the ones which are on the left side of the dash location. So that is, I can say length of A2, that will give me total characters, minus find the dash symbol, that is the location of the dash in the cell A2. So this should give me the difference, that should be the number of characters from the right side we need to extract to get the product ID. So if I press enter here, it will give me the product ID. If there was a separation after the dash, if there was space, you will need to do some extra -1. But for now, you can get the product ID in this way. Then we have some functions that we have discussed before also. So find function, left, right, we have already done. So now we will use Vlookup in the cell M2 to M4. So let me go here to the cell M2. So how the Vlookup function works, it has 4 inputs. First input is what you are looking for in the first column of the entire table. So I will go to FX and open Vlookup here. So I'm searching for the name Clark Orr in the first column of the table. The first column will be from where the names are starting. So I'm looking for Clark Orr. The table is now not from A2, it is from B2. That's where the customer names are. So I will select from B2 up to the end of the table, which will be, I think, G990. Yeah, so from from B2 until G990. This is our table. The third input is the function asking me if I find Clark Orr, which column number entry we need. So as soon as we give the table, the function will start numbering the columns of the table. So B column will become column number 1, customer ID will become column number 2, product ID will be 3, country will be 4, sales channel will be 5, unit sold will be 6. So according to the question, what do we need? I need the sales channel, so that is column number 5. And the fourth input is the range. How do you want to search? If I put 0 or false here, that means I want the exact match. If I put 1 or true here, that means I want approximate match. So I will put 0 here, I want the exact location of the person Clark Orr and his sales channel. So whenever we are searching, the fourth input will always be false or 0. Then let's look at the next function. Sorry, the same function, but the next question. We have to find the unit sold to the customer named Eric Avila. So I will go to FX again and again search using Vlookup. This time the name is Eric and I will write the name here. The table remains the same from A2, sorry, not from A2, it's from B2 to G990. And this time I need the units sold. So once again the column numbering will be like last time. So column B becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The unit sold is column number 6. And since we are searching for exact, the last input will be 0. That will give me the answer 1. The third question related to Vlookup. I want to know the customer ID of Ethan Day. So again, open FX using Vlookup. I will name Ethan Day as the first input. The second input will be again the table from B2 to G990. And the column index this time, I need the customer IDs. That is basically column number 2. First column is the name, second column is customer ID. So that is column number 2 and 0, the fourth input, because I need exact match. You can also type here false, that should also work. But to avoid the spelling mistakes, you can just put 0. So this is Vlookup function. Next I'll talk about Countifs. So open Countifs as function and it works in pairs. For every condition we need 2 inputs. First we have the country should be Oman. So the country data is from E2 colon E990. And the condition on the country is the country should be Oman. So I will put here the name Oman. The spelling must be correct. The second part of the question says the unit sold should be greater than 120. So the unit sold is in the column G2 colon G990 and the condition is it should be greater than 120. That should give me the answer 5, which is correct. Now another counting question. This time the first part of the question says the sales channel should be online. So the sales channel data is from F2 to F990. This is the condition, sorry, this is the range. The second input is the condition, it should be online. Then the unit sold should be less than 100. The unit sold data is in G2 to G990, and the condition is it should be less than 100. That should give me the answer 229. Similarly, how many customers from Korea? So the country should be Korea. So open Countifs again. The first data range is E2 to E990. The country should be Korea, and units sold is in the range 100 to 150. That is two condition. The unit sold G2 to G990. First condition is greater than 100. I will put it here. Then the second on the same data. So I will type the same data again, G2 to G990. But this time the condition is it should be less than 150. So that will give me the answer 1. Then we have the Sumifs function also, that calculates the sum of numbers based on some conditions, one or more than one condition. And for writing the conditions, we follow the same procedure of Countifs. For every condition, we have two inputs, data and the condition. The only difference is the first input is the extra input, which is the sum range. So here in the question it says sum of units sold. Units sold is in G2 to G990. So this is our sum range, G2 to G990. And what is the condition? It says to the customers from Oman. That means the country should be Oman. So the country data is in E2 to E990 and it should be Oman. So I will just type the name here, Oman. That will give me the answer, the sum of units sold to the customers from Oman. Similarly, another Sumifs function, I will click on the cell which is M26 and then I will go to FX, open Sumifs again. This time again sum of units sold, so that means the sum range is G2 to G990. Having retail sales channel. So the sales channel data should be retail. So the sales channel is in the column F2 to F990. And the condition on this sales channel is it should be retail. Similarly, the question is not finished. The country should be Saudi Arabia also. So now my data is country, which is from E2 to E990, and the input criteria is Saudi Arabia. Spellings should be correct. So if I press OK here, this will give me the answer 205, which is the correct one. Yes, similar to the output. Then we can also do the grading using the Vlookup function. In this case, we will search in this lookup table approximately. And notice I will click here in I2, I will go to FX function and open Vlookup again. So this time we are looking, or we are searching or approximate matching in the lookup table. The first column is units sold, and the units sold for the first customer are in the cell G2. So I'm looking for G2. This is the first input. In which table? Our second input is the table. The table is basically here in J21 up to K23. This is where the table data is. But I want to make sure the table remains fixed. It should remain constant. So for that I will press the F4 key to make sure both J21 becomes $J $21 and K23 becomes $K $23. This will make sure the table remains constant. The third input is which column entry you need in the table. The first one is the unit sold, second one are the grade. I need the grade. And the fourth input is how do you want to search. If you notice, the unit sold of first person is 117. There is no exact 117 in the table, the lookup table. So I will need do approximate match. I will put 1 and then I can fill the formula downward. This will give me the grade using Vlookup. Now, to do the grading using the if function, the condition in the exam it will be provided in the instruction, but here it is given in the Excel sheet itself. So here you can see if the units sold are greater or equal to 200, the grade should be rhodium. So otherwise, if the units sold are greater or equal to 150, the grade is platinum, otherwise gold. So I will write it here, equal if, bracket open, the unit sold of first customer is in G2. So if it is greater or equal to 200, comma, in double quotations, I will put the answer rhodium, double quotation, and then comma. So still we have two options left, so I will use another if function. And the next condition is unit sold G2 greater or equal to 150, comma, in this case the answer should be platinum. So I will put it in double quotation, platinum, double quotation, comma, otherwise my last answer here is gold in double quotation. So I will put quotation mark here, gold, quotation. Then I will put two closing brackets, one for the inner, the nested if function, and then the second one is for the outer if function. After that I can fill the formula. So that's the end of this exercise, you can see here. So make sure you prepare for the exam properly. Good luck.